Hello and welcome to the Now Spinning Magazine podcast with me, Phil Aston. And on this episode, I'm absolutely delighted to have with me Leslie Mandoki from Mandoki Soulmates. Now, welcome Leslie, first of all, before I get carried away. Welcome very much to the show.
Thank you, Phil. I'm really enjoying it, and thank you for having us.
That's okay. The album, A Memory of Our Future, I've reviewed. Many of you know, watch this show. I reviewed this album and I loved it tremendously and still do. And I was also very lucky just a few months ago to interview Tony Carey, and we both again talked about this album. So it's a great honor, Leslie, to have you here to actually talk to the man behind the music.
I'm very happy that I have a chance to talk to you because it's our first step down in the United Kingdom, you know. Facing the fact that I was 19 years old, as I've been told that I'm never going to see in my life London because I was born behind the Iron Curtain, and London was for the communist oppression, for the Russian oppression, was actually the capital of of mankind in that sense, that the free world messages and the free minds and all this student and then all this music what the communists hated, like Jethro Tull and all the progress coming out of London. And so therefore they said, Mandoki, you're never going to have a passport. I never had a Hungarian passport, I must admit. So they somehow, and they were choosing two guys, Gabor Csupo as a young movie maker, filmmaker, cartoonist, and myself as a young musician. And so we had to escape them. And we were behind the Iron Curtain already totally in the prog rock mania. And so we escaped through a tunnel. And Gabor is having today 2 stars in the Hollywood Boulevard, one for Rugrats and another for Simpsons. And I said to the resettlement officer in a central refugee camp that I was coming to play with Ian Anderson and Jack Bruce and Meola.
Wow, because I guess because being born in the West, I mean, I was listening to bands like Jethro Tull and Deep Purple to almost scare my parents, but I guess that music was scaring your government when you were growing up, wasn't it? It was a much bigger thing.
I mean, I don't really know why it was scary for your parents, but I understand why it was scary for the government, because this music was the soundtrack of the student uprising. So they had a reason to hate that music. So I must admit, and because we were all, we hated the communists. So it was okay to put me in jail and all this and shut up the electricity on stage and because we truly wanted to change. But as we have seen, that it's not going to happen in that period of time. So 75 us, we escaped. We had to escape, and we did. And the refugee come back to that as a resettlement officer. So okay, Ian Anderson, Jethro Tull, they are playing stadiums. What the hell are you talking about? And Jack Bruce, they just recently played a Goodbye Cream concert in the Wembley Stadium. So you must be totally insane. And Aldi Meola is an American fusion guy of the best.
Yeah, Return to Forever.
And then I said, but I have a musical vision because I'm so much in love with this prog rock of out of London, this very British art. I mean, this complex, mature compositions and the social relevant lyrics and the poetry and this great big huge compositions and productions in terms of that sophisticatedly. The complexity of this, but I'm missing sometimes this brilliant soloistical, genius touch-ups like with Aldi Meola or Mike Stern or Brecker Brothers.
The lineup is amazing. I mean, I read that your father gave you some advice saying, "Don't dream your life, live your dream." I mean, was that something that guided you through this difficult period to get through to an area where you could explore your creative vision and follow your path musically?
I feel, look, if anyone is listening now would like to really explore what my father said on his deathbed, have a listen on this album. Finally, I was distant enough to the momentum, as I was 16 as he passed away, lost his fight against cancer. But today, I would say, you know, it must have been turned to a piece of music. So Matchbox Racing on this album is having a chorus line, what my father left on his deathbed. So don't dream your life, don't just live your dreams.
I mean, it's a beautiful track, and this album, it's like, I found it when I was listening to it. I love the music. The music obviously is very varied. It's very soulful. There's lots of, as you say, prog elements to it. But I felt lyrically, it's kind of like it's talking to me in the state of the world as it is now, but also giving me lots of hope. What came first, the lyrics or the melodies? Were you thinking about the message you could get across to the people listening to this music? Because there's lots going on in this album.
Well, I think my vision or my impression or my view of the world is that we are living in a labyrinth of crisis, and the compass is lost. So in these trying, challenging times we are going through right now, especially we, the kind of artistical, intellectually guys who are entitled to speak up, because my voice is not my voice. My voice is a result of the people that are listening to our music on a concert or on the vinyls and the CDs or digital streaming it on Spotify or Apple, whatever. And this is their love of music is propelling our creativity. So this is their voice. So and now I think within this labyrinth of crisis, we owe to the people to give the love that we have received from them for years, and be the one who is having the torch in the hand at the end of the dark tunnel. So the lyrics, what you were asking me for, is about this, that we have a burden on our shoulder to be the voice for humanity, to look back what we have learned from our fathers performing in Woodstock. What is the teaching? And the teaching is the individual freedom, that we stand up for free mind, and in any case, and to this freedom, and the twin brother of freedom is peace. And if these songs are speaking to you and to everyone in this very clear point of view, and because we want to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we want to sing about it. And another thing is we feel that the whole world is getting divided again. And also, I'm just coming back from New York. I was touching down before we speak from New York City, and here back by my lake here in the Alpine area and nearby Munich. And truly, America is this divide is so heavy, and music is the greatest unifier, and we have to do that. We owe the people, we owe our own teenage dreams, to build the bridges again, and trying to heal the wounds what happened in the last maybe 20 years. And especially for me, because Phil, you were born west of the Iron Curtain. I was born east of the Iron Curtain. For me, I don't know how much it was for you, and I would love to know. I would love to learn about it, also to our listeners, from our listeners. Please write me to me about that. How was it, the experience from the West point of view in 1989, as the Iron Curtain got destroyed by the Hungarians, and they said, okay, when we destroyed the Iron Curtain, then the Berlin Wall will come down within a couple of weeks. Exactly, that's what happened. And all of a sudden was a historical moment in Europe that we thought paradise forever. because the Second World was, so the communist dictatorship was collapsing. It was an implosion, just was blown away by freedom and peace. And I never will forget it in the '89 as Mikhail Gorbachev, as the president of Soviet Union, said, "No, we are going to join NATO. We are going to join EU because the conflict, the Cold War is over." And we thought it's gonna be a paradise on earth. And look at what we are now. So this album, you see, and in your background, I see the cover, what I was painting. This is the Black Swan, what is just landed, and what I'm saying, when someone is sitting down and puts his iPhone away for 80 minutes, and you just extend your attention span, like in the old days.
Yeah, like the old days, yeah.
Yeah, and you're just listening to 80 minutes, doesn't matter. Vinyl, of course, preferably vinyl because the sound is so warm. It's an analog recording, or on a CD or on your digital. But have a listen to 80 minutes music, and you will see that your personal black sheep or whatever is black in your surrounding, all of a sudden this is going to be white again. So the Black Swan is going to be a white swan. Like I say, when we start a concert, my bass drum is a Black Swan. And I said, okay, until the 4.5 hours later, without a break, you will see that. Because in this is going to be white, this Black Swan. And because we have reasons why we did this album analog, because it's just a handwritten love letter to our audience. It's not a text message. So it is no post production. And 2 days, everything is post production. But I realized that limitation could be an inspiration. That's a new discovery for me, because all of a sudden 24 tracks, 2-inch tape. I mean, I was bringing up from the basement this old machines here. It was sealed, and all of a sudden, this sounded total crazy. This sounded really good.
I love that idea, because I really believe, and one of my slogans is that music is a healer and a doctor. And I've spoken to Steve Hackett, who used to be in Genesis, about this subject quite a lot as well. And I think music does change the atmosphere of the room that it's played in. So you're right. If you're feeling a bit disconnected, if you just sit down and literally let yourself go with music, it changes how you feel, probably changes you on a molecular level as well. And I do what I felt about listening to this the first time, because that's how I do listen to music, because it's so easy to be listening and having one of these in your hands or pottering about, but to give the artist who created it the attention of that 40 minutes or 80 minutes on a double album like this, and just let it wash over you, it does change how you see things. And I agree with you, as you said, that the world is dark at the moment, but this is a light in that darkness.
Thank you so much, because if this should be a torch, in a way, in this dark tunnel, because and music, we have all kind of some lines in life we are following. And my one is, I'm so thankful to my life that very fortunately I allowed to live on the sunny side of street as a musician. That I think that I have this honor, this privilege, the trust of this legendary icon, players from Great Britain and from the United States. This moves me so that every syllable, every tone, every harmony, every equalizing or everything what we do. I'm trying to make it so honest or so authentic as we can do it, because this is what it's all about. I mean, to be honest to our audience, that's what they deserve.
I think because you've got such huge, legendary names from the world of jazz, progressive rock, music in the lineup of this band. But whereas it could easily sound like people were dialing in their parts, or it was like or some musicians might think, oh, this is my chance just to make people realize it's me on this and that. But there's no egos here. This is all in the feel and taste of your band. Everyone is part of the composition. There's nobody trying to get the limelight. Everybody is part of the fabric of the song, if that made any sense at all. But it just sounds like a band, even though there's so many of you on stage and in the studio.
Phil, what the answer of this unasked question, why, is simply because everybody's a band leader. Nobody's a sideman. So everybody knows exactly that ego kills music.
Yes.
So an ego kills every band. Now, so what are you doing when you have only leaders, only alpha people?
Yeah.
So then they just, very much serving the music. We are all servants and a great cause to create different music and take the responsibility for that.
And it's also such, because you obviously you're influenced by jazz and progressive rock, but this album goes through lots of different genres, but it doesn't sound jarring, or it doesn't sound like, well, it's moving into something where it's a bit of a shock to the ears. It just flows like a wave. How you sequence the album. So did you, when you were writing the music, pulling together, did you have a vision of how it was all going to come together? Did you think this is the last track on side 2 for the vinyl one? Did you have an idea in your mind when you started this project what it was going to look like and sound like?
As I started to play in studios as a studio cat, then you had a tape operator, you had an engineer, and you had a cycling engineer, so who was assembling they had a special ear to so this is all gone, of course. And the only thing that I had to call back is my old engineers who were retired to maintain the analog gear, because I have all my analog gear in the studio setup, but the machines, the 2-inch tape machines, were sealed in the cellar, so I had to get this going and lining it up, and the workflow got different because every morning we had to line up the machines. But this is a different ballgame. All of a sudden, you play differently because, as I mentioned before, this limitation is an inspiration, but this is also inspire you to. This is the take. So you practice, you prepare the session differently, because since ages I'm programming, and you print it out. Now it was with pencil and eraser and the paper. And they were just building a circle in the studio. We're not playing, just the piano, acoustic guitar, percussion, and we just talking it over, not playing us empty, So that's and he, for no one was really showing up at all. So this was a very natural growing, And then us, after 2 days of talking over every each song, we just let's do it. And as a first step, we just put a new light bulbs and the red light, because it was not used for because in digital recording you don't need, because there's no pressure. Digital, you repeat it and repeat it as many times as you want, but all of a sudden you had only 24 tracks. So all of a sudden you had that limitation, but this is that now the handwritten love letter.
So all the musicians on this album, was everybody at some point in the studio recording this then? Because it's analog,
absolutely.
Yeah. Everyone was there.
No other way.
See, that's really exciting for me to hear, because I talk to so many people where people are record an album and everybody's in a different part of the world. And I think one of the things is when people do that digitally is it must be very tempting for whoever it is to do take 53 of something because they can. And obviously just copy and paste if things aren't quite right and just change that note a little bit if it's not quite. But analog, there's nowhere to hide, is there?
And analog doesn't forgive you. So
No.
just to our listeners, let's ask the ladies right now who are listening to us. I mean, how would you like to get a love letter from one of us, from Phil or or Leslie? A handwritten love letter or a text message, you know? And I bet that most of the ladies were going to say a love letter would be, you know, with the pen and ink.
Yeah.
And so this is because in the same way, analog recording, you cannot change anything else.
No.
This is what it is. And or you have to do the whole thing again, like another love letter, you know. So this is how it is. So it's honestly, puristically, that's I love it in a way.
One of my favorite tracks is probably the catchiest one. It's like an earworm that goes into your head and you just can't get rid of it. Not that you'd want to. And it's a Devil's Encyclopedia, Social Media. And that chorus is just, it's as soon as you hear it, you're never ever going to forget it. I mean, it's a very clever song as well because everybody, whether you're listening or watching this, everyone is on social media. But I think describing it as the Devil's Encyclopedia is not far off.
I mean, maybe I will have a problem when next time I'm Silicon Valley, but but I do mean it that this was causing a harm to the world.
Yeah.
You know, and a million years ago, I was with Paulo Coelho, the Literature Nobel Prize winner of that year, a great writer, and we were together in Davos in World Economy Forum, and we were invited to a dinner, and the Facebook as an idea was presented there, and
yes,
and we both said it's never gonna work because human mankind is protecting the privacy. This is that's the way a civilization unfolds. The personal. So I even said that, and Paulo Coelho and myself, both of us were just trying to give even a better point why it's never gonna work. And I said, look, I'm coming up, say for instance, midnight from the studio, from the basement to the office level where we are right now, and say for instance, I would look at on the table of my secretary, I would not ever looking at her holiday photos or vacation photos. And I cannot imagine that she would post this, No. Here we are. And I found myself, I have an old circle of Hungarian friends who are living abroad. Once a year we meet, and, everybody's in my age. And we were just sitting in a round table, about 7 guys. And part of me, everybody had this damn thing in a hand, and just the food came, and instead of finally talking to each other, and you were not sending the picture yet, but you were eating. I said, "Wait a minute, what about looking over the table?" So it's crazy, and all this division, what we see. Is amplified by social media. And if now we have war in Europe, maybe we wouldn't even have that, because the distortion and the whole, this strange information channels got established by social media. And this is crazy, and this is wrong, and it hurts our basic interest. I'm pretty unhappy. So I wrote that song with that conviction, because friends are not who you mark as a friend on Facebook. So,
no, they're not. They're not. No, it's very true. No, it's very true. Another song that I absolutely love is "The Wanderer," which has just been released as a video. And I think at the time, I just looked before we started this interview, and it's been seen nearly 200,000 times. I mean, that is there's a message in that in the video about the young son leaving home and what going on and finding himself, and his dad giving him the feather. What was the background behind that? Is there any of you in that story or lyrically when you pull that together?
Absolutely. I mean, it is autobiographical in two generations. As I have left my home, and as my son left our house, or my daughters,
Yeah.
So because I promised to myself that I really want to be a dedicated father. So before they were born, so it's okay. I'm only going to be a father if I can live up to that. Let's say challenge nowadays. So, and I thought I owe the kids deep roots and strong wings. And but one day they get strong wings, and then they leave the house, and they leave the nest, and they start to fly their own way. And this song is about that. That you have your fears, and you want to take care, but they want to do their own mistakes. They want to do their own way. So that's why I was producing this video to coming along with the song. That one really feels it.
Yeah, it's a great video, and I think it's important that because the message in this music is very positive, and music does build bridges, and it is the perfect art form for doing that. You don't have to understand the language; the music just connects people. Either you know, you know, whoever they are, it just connects people. But I think for young people, as you say, your own kids who leave home and they're listening to this, being a musician and a dreamer or searching for things, it's in some ways it's not as easy now. Well, in some ways it's easier because you can connect to anyone anywhere in the world, but there's so much more noise coming in to you all the time. And I think what you said earlier about listening to 80 minutes of music and just listening, doing that one task is important, because it's for creativity to emerge, you need to be bored, to be away from your screen, don't you? You need to be bored so that your brain starts thinking of things. I mean, do you think for young musicians and creative people, it's actually it's trickier now, isn't it? In some ways.
Absolutely, because the attention span is getting smaller and smaller, shorter and shorter, and for all of us, and especially also for audience. And the record
Yeah.
companies are not talking about albums anymore; they're talking about tracks, and then make it short, make it 2.5 minutes. So attention span and try to do lyric videos that the people are getting the lyrics because they're not listening, because they read them at the same time the social media and all. So what we're doing here, this is the revenge of analog. Uh, and revenge of analog also in sense of how should I say, maybe in a sense of way of thinking, as looking for answers. So and herefore is, I think, it's a very, very, very important that we kind of think back how beautiful it was to call someone as a friend who that you have a problem. You come back from the doctor with the wrong message, or your wife was hurting your soul, or whatever happens, and then this friend is there to drink a beer with you. And so we should not let social media destroy that.
I've always felt that music is your friend in those. When I was growing up, if I, I can think of many times in my life when things weren't going as I might have hoped, or I'd had bad news about my dad or something when he was seriously ill. His music helped me. It was my friend. It was a personal thing. It was there was obviously real friends, people you knew in real life, but some music could also be a comfort if you gave yourself over to it, not just snippets. I mean, what you just said about the digital world. I mean, Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. If nowadays people wouldn't get past the first 25 seconds, and they would probably just think it was an acoustic number. They wouldn't know what was coming because they'd only give it 25 seconds of their time. So I think, I mean, the opening track, Blood in the Water, is no, actually, sorry, Enigma of Reason. That's the one. It's 10 minutes of wonderful music. It's 10 minutes. It feels like there's a lot of these songs, Leslie, that feel like live. You could just stretch out and let them just take on a life of their own.
Well, it feels like this, especially when we play on stage. So we recently toured that with the new songs, you know. So it was wonderful. Everybody was here in the studio again. The first night we were listening to the album, and then from the original master tape, and then we started to, you know, to do the live versions, which are identical with the recorded version. So same place and it was so beautiful to do that. So because we had the feeling that music is your friend in a way. It's just a big. You grew up together, you know, and you unfold together, and you know, it's just. And I was trying. I'm very happy, Phil, that you're saying this, because I was trying to create an album, and as I say, our first touchdown in the United Kingdom. So the motherland of rock music, or prog rock, and here for that we were trying to put something very serious to the table.
And how do you feel, Leslie, as knowing that these people that were in the West behind this wall where you were growing up, you now have people like Ian Anderson playing in your band and playing wonderfully, I must say. How does that feel? It's like completing the circle, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I said that in a refugee camp, 75, as a resettlement officer was asking me, said, "Okay, hey boy, I really understand your point that you wanted to leave the Russian oppression and the communism and all this. I mean, I'm congratulating to you that you survived that escaping. You know, you could have killed and all this." And Gabor Chipo, the young 22 years old cartoonist, the movie maker, was sitting next to me. So the resettlement of this thing, okay, you know, I have now the application form and you filled out and everything is fine, but I have one question. What are you going to do in the free world? And I said, I was just coming to play with Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull and Jack Bruce of Cream and Al Di Meola of Written to Forever. And so he had, and he was writing it down in my application form, putting like this. I said, and then he was not even talking to me. He was looking at Gabor, and he said, "Your friend is totally crazy. I mean, these guys are playing in soccer stadiums, and you know, the one of the biggest." And Gabor said, "But Leslie has an idea that he would like to merge the British prog rock with the American jazz rock. So it's his vision to meld this whole thing." And then the resettlement officer saying, okay. I mean, Leslie, come on. I mean, okay, we understand. You are Napoleon, but Gabor, what the hell are you going to do in the West? So I had to write. I said, no, I'm going to Hollywood, and I just start with my own film studio, because, you know, that's what Hungarians are usually doing. Out of the 7 major studios in Hollywood, are 5 founded by Hungarians. So we are a film nation, a movie nation. So that's what I'm going to do. Today, Gabor has 2 stars on the Hollywood Boulevard, one for Simpsons and one for Rugrats. So let's give a credit to this Russian oppression and to the communist cultural, people that they said, you guys never gonna see London in your life. We're gonna execute an example that you're never gonna have Hungarian passport. I never had Hungarian passport, and because. So, in a way that they said that I'm not free, and I just had to prove to myself, and Gabor had to prove to himself that we are going to be free. And this album is actually the ticket now to Great Britain, in a way that here I am. I promised myself one day I come to London.
I think it's such a wonderful and inspiring story, Leslie, that a show of complete drive and passion, that you knew what you wanted to do, and here you are. You've released an album with the people that inspired you in the first place, and everybody sounds like they're having a wonderful time. It's an album that's full of joy. It's full of hope, and it lifts the room, whatever. I mean, anyone listening and watching, you haven't heard this yet, you need to go and get a copy on vinyl or CD, but you need to listen to it. It just kind of, I'm trying to say into words, because sometimes music, you can't find the right words, but it will make you feel better. It's like medicine, listening to this album.
Thank you so much. I always say that psychology and creation of music is totally the opposite of each other.
Yeah.
Because we are creating it out of nothing.
Yeah.
People think, but it's not really true. The way songs are written is just we live through things. We experience this disaster around us in the world, this division, and it's a pain to see that, that we could have done much better. So give me now to your listeners one political aspect what you for sure you never heard in your life. That who is missing you Brits the most in Europe? These are the Eastern Europeans, because they joined an EU as England was one of the leading nations. And they had a fear if the Germans are leading along, this would not be the, they had
balance.
Yeah, bad experience with that. So the Eastern Europeans, they love that balance between UK and so between London and Berlin, or Berlin, Paris, but London, a strong, keep in mind, we are free, no regulations, no over regulations, And so that's why, I mean, all my Hungarian friends where I was growing up, they're crying their heart out. Please talk to your British friends. They should stay in the EU because we need them so badly. Probably you never heard that aspect, but that balance. The EU is without England, is far away as not attractive as it used to.
Yes, I know what you mean. So, well, going
we
forward,
we miss your culture, actually. Well, your humor. I mean, I mean, this is only the Hungarians on the east side and the British on the west side have this wonderful, bitter, sweet humor, understanding each other.
Well, we are still here, and this, I mean, an album like this, A Memory of Our Future, is like help brings people together. You've got people from all over the world on this album, and many people who are listening and watching this have got albums with many of these musicians on them. Here's an album with all of them on it. I mean, what can fans expect? What's your next steps with Mandoki Soulmates? I mean, this album is coming out in a new version, so it's still front of mind. Are you going to do any concerts in the UK or any video concerts? I mean, what plans did you have?
I mean, I'm coming over next week to London to talk to my record company and talk to journalists and, and explore, talk to agents and promoters, So, and we are trying to be heard in a way that we can take on and play again. And we played only one concert in Hammersmith, and it was one of my greatest experiences in my life. So of course, Ian Anderson was with us, and everybody else. It was a big, huge lineup, and I would be more than happy to be back. So next week, I'm going to spend 2 days in London to explore the whole situation. And
because before we go, I mean, a normal band with about 4 musicians in, they have to sort out logistics, diaries, everything. Your band is a bit different, isn't it? You've got some of the biggest names in rock and jazz. When you organize a gig, it's like, it must be like the most powerful nations on earth organizing a meeting. I mean, it's not easy, is it? I wouldn't have thought.
Let me share a secret with you.
Oh.
Which started this 32 years ago.
Yeah.
We had one absolutely clear agreement with each other that they only talk to each other. So no managers, no secretaries,
Oh,
no
right.
labels, no
Yeah.
agents, no lawyers, just us.
Just
Uh,
musicians.
yeah, just us, just
Just
musicians.
the creative people. Wow.
And otherwise, it would never ever happened, because unfortunately, Greg Lake and John Lord and
Yes.
Jack Bruce passed, Michael Brecker, but in that kind of lineup, you would never ever could manage it if just one secretary would be part of it, with
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
calendar. So and back then, 32 years ago, there were no smartphones, and there were not even emails. So we knew each other's hotel names, to phone each other, and of the fax numbers, when someone is on tour. So it was more challenging to communicate as this little toys what we are having in a pocket, and but we made it. So very 30 years, 1 year ago, we played our first huge festival gig, and we founded a festival called Siget, which became mainland Europe's largest rock festival in Budapest. And so it was, the agreement. Just the musos are talking about music. This is one of the secrets why this band of band leaders are working.
Secret. It's like some kind of magical source, isn't it? I mean, you've got all these master musicians who manage to all decide they're going. No PR companies, no secretaries, no managers, no record companies are going to be involved, and also we're going to leave our egos at the door. And we're all going to record with analog stuff, so we've got to do it properly in one take or two takes or whatever. Most people would see, if they saw that on paper, would think, well, that won't work. And it's
But you
worked.
know what, Phil? Let me prove you right. Every record company said, "No, it's not true. It's not going to happen."
Yeah.
Leslie, good on you. You were laughing at me. It's
Yeah.
never gonna work. Never gonna. We prove it's his way. What 3 decades this works, and that's also the reason. How recording industry works. I mean, because I got stuck as a refugee, as an illegal migrant in Germany, being Hungarian, but being a totally British or American minded guy. I'm actually, the record companies are working in a way that the music comes either from Los Angeles, New York, or London, and this comes to continents of Europe, Asia, and you have local acts. But a British kind of music like us is not going to come out of Lake Starnberg nearby Munich,
Yeah.
So this pipeline is not existing yet, and so herefore, Phil, I'm really really thankful for having us. And you sharing your feelings about the music, and then really touching me, because one thing is missing in our life, to go to England, and not only to Great Britain, to put it precise words, and having so many iconic, legendary British musicians like founding member Jack Bruce, late Jack Bruce, and Ian Anderson. I mean, and John Halliwell of Supertramp.
Great guy.
And Greg Lake, one of our founding members, and Greg was also one of the exceptional, legendary, iconic musicians who gave us so much. And he a lot of things he left about us, like he's so he's so much how the way he loves to play with us, because so much love of music in the room, and on the question of BBC back then in the Hammersmith we played why he's doing this. I said just because it's the best band of the world. So it's just we have so much British in our hearts. So it is really time, and we are very thankful that Sony Final is going to release now in England this album, and thank you for having us to spread around the news.
It's fantastic, Leslie, and if people want to find out more about you, finally, it's Mandoki-Soulmates.com. That's the website to go to, yeah?
Wonderful, and I'm more than happy to. You can find us on social media, Mandoki Soulmates, and I'd love to hear from all your listeners.
Okay.
And you see also on YouTube, you have bunch of live recordings on YouTube,
Yeah.
and also the making of this album. So you see us with all this analog gear. We're explaining it all together. You know how an analog
Yeah. In the
machine
same
works.
room. Yeah.
Yeah, in the same room. So if you feel like to get behind the scene,
Oh,
then get
okay.
another chance. So thank you so much for your
Well,
time.
thank you, Leslie. Take care, and hopefully I'll talk to you again in the future. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye. A huge thank you to my guest, Leslie Mandoki from the Mandoki Soulmates. This album, A Memory of Our Future, it's just perfect for these dark times. There's so much joy, positivity, soul, love, empathy, lyrics that really, really touch you. I mean, I mentioned some of the tracks there, but there are other ones. I mean, the one about Leslie's dad and all this kind of stuff. And it's like a journey. It's very autobiographical, graphical even in many ways. But isn't it an incredible story? Imagine what it must have been like being in Eastern Europe, a young kid, teenager, and your government doesn't like the music you listen to, not just as I had in my dad listening to Child in Time from Deep Purple in rock and going, what is this? And me thinking, this was how oppressive that must have been, but also how inspiring about following your dreams, following what's in your heart and saying, loving Jethro Tull, Cream, and thinking one day I will share the stage with musicians in those bands and they'll be playing together. They'll come together without using a PR company or a secretary or a record company, and their egos will be left at the door and we'll make an album together. Wow. MandokiSoulmates.com, also on social media, which isn't always the devil's encyclopedia. Thank you again to all of you for being here, for supporting Now Spinning Magazine. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the website. Check out the podcast. Check out everywhere. Everywhere there's a social media channel, you'll find an outpost for Now Spinning Magazine. And we're all about the love of music, the love of spending time listening to music and taking some time away from scrolling and enjoying physical music, vinyl and CD, and getting closer to the art. Take care, all of you. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. And I'll talk to you all very, very soon.